Earlier this year, I claimed the HP Spectre X360 was one of my favorite laptops, and it was. But now that we have the HP OmniBook Ultra Flip, this has become one of my favorite Windows laptops because it takes the same ideas as that Spectre X360, not the 16-inch model, but the 14-inch version, and applies it to the OmniBook Ultra. And they pretty much nailed almost everything except for a few things which I'll talk about shortly. From a design standpoint, it is absolutely gorgeous. It has that same Spectre design with the gem cut edges. It feels very comfortable to hold. You have these rounded off edges which feel nice in the hand. Yes, because this is a darker laptop, you are gonna see a lot of fingerprints. It's an aluminum chassis, so it feels very premium. It's just under 3 pounds, so light enough that it's very easy to carry around. One of my nitpicks though is that the port situation is a little lackluster. For example, on the left-hand side, you have a combo audio jack and a Type-C port that does 10 gigabits per second. And then on the right-hand side, you have two Thunderbolt 4 ports. Now, opening it up with one hand is not as easy as a traditional laptop. I usually give a pass to convertibles to be a little bit stiffer on the hinge because you are manipulating the display to go 360 degrees. So I don't expect them to be opened up with one hand all the time. As for wobble, there's a little bit, but it's not bad. It's not like the HP Omen gaming laptops of the past. The keyboard deck also matches the exterior of the product, and it looks great. Like, this keyboard is so comfortable to type on, like super comfortable to type on. It has a nice, satisfying click. The travel distance is enough to feel fantastic. Of course, this being a 14-inch laptop, you don't get that numeric keypad, and I'm absolutely okay with that. The blue button also acts as your power button. It adds a nice two-tone finish. The touchpad, which is one of my favorite features of the Spectre X360 14-inch, is haptic, and this one happens to be too. Now, right out of the box, the intensity of this haptic touchpad is set to 50, and it doesn't feel as solid as the haptic touchpad on a MacBook Pro. Still way better than a glass touchpad, but I would reduce the intensity to about 25. The haptic motor in here seems to be not loose, but it vibrates a little bit more loosely compared to the haptic motor that's in the MacBook. And to reduce that vibration or make it feel a little bit tighter, you want to reduce that intensity to 25. And I feel like you just have a better experience. For speakers inside of here, they sound absolutely fantastic. I'm going to compare it to the MacBook Air 13, and you guys let me know which ones sound better. Now, one of my favorite features about this laptop is hands down the display. It's OLED, which is right off the bat a check mark in my box. I know some of you prefer IPS, I get it, but OLED is just so much better to look at. You have deep dark blacks, very saturated colors. The color gamut is so deep. You have good color accuracy. The display is touch, and because it comes with a pen in the box, you can write on the screen. Because it's a high refresh rate, it can ramp up all the way to 120 Hertz, and it can ramp all the way down to 48. The pen experience is fantastic. I'm a left-handed user. Usually most laptops that come with their version of a pen, I find that palm rejection is hit or miss. Palm rejection on this is really good. Like, I put my left hand right on the display, didn't have any issues with drawing. It felt nice and smooth. Like, if you're buying this for taking down notes or sketching, you're gonna be happy with this experience. There's also a little magnet on the right side of the laptop to store the pen. Make sure you don't point the pen towards the display or it's just gonna go all over the place. Make sure the tip of the pen is facing towards you and you have a really good connection. Like, this is gonna stay on. Like, obviously if I go super fast, it'll come off, but look at this. Like, overall, it sticks really, really nicely. Okay, this is what the 1080p webcam looks like on the HP OmniBook Ultra Flip. I got lots of light. Let's go into overexposed mode. Okay, it's handling it pretty good. Let's go back into the shade. Not bad. You guys let me know how it looks. And yeah, most importantly, let me know how the microphones sound. Now, performance is interesting because it is using Intel's Lunar Lake, so it's not going to be as fast as the AMD processors that just came out, but it will be faster in most situations compared to the Snapdragon stuff, just because apps are optimized for x86. This one happens to have 32 gigabytes of RAM, but this laptop is kind of pricey. With that, you will get good performance. It's not going to beat out the Meteor Lake stuff in a lot of simple things like compiling code, for example, but it's taken a little bit of a performance hit in order to improve the efficiency. Single core clock speeds are better than Intel's Meteor Lake, but not as good as the Snapdragon and MacBook Airs on the market today. Multi-core performance is a lot lower than the best of the competition, but it's still in line for a really good experience in 2024. If you're buying this for, let's say, creative work, it does good in Premiere Pro, but it's not as good as the MacBook Air. If you're buying this for Photoshop, I mean, all the laptops that are available today run pretty well in Photoshop. But the one thing I love about these Lunar Lake CPUs is the integrated GPU. The Intel Arc Xe2 is really good. Like, it's right up there with the RX 890M, and in some cases about 8 to 10% faster. But because HP is prioritizing fan noise over everything else, on performance mode, the loudest this thing gets is 42 decibels. That's well below the fan noise on the HP OmniBook Ultra with the AMD CPU. Like, that thing was hitting closer to 50. And I found when I was playing Overwatch, which is a really well optimized older title on most laptops with Intel Arc GPUs, it had no problems hitting 100 frames per second and staying consistent between 80 and 110. This guy could hit 100 frames per second, but as soon as there was too much stuff going on, it would drop down to 30 or 40 because it wanted to keep the fans quiet. So you are going to get some performance drops. Now, this is not a big deal if you're using this for like everyday use. But if you're some of those individuals out there that like to play older titles with your thin and light notebooks, you might experience the same thing. The average core clock speeds are a little bit lower than what AMD is offering because, again, they're tuning this for fan noise. And the overall power it's sucking from the CPU is usually around 30 watts. Internally, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because most of the stuff is soldered onto the motherboard, like the RAM, CPU, and even the Wi-Fi 7 card. Again, the only thing that is upgradable is the NVMe SSD, which gets really good read and write speeds. The cooling solution does have two fans with copper heat pipes running across the middle, but this is not a vapor chamber cooler. Battery, 64 watt hours, and I got really good battery life with it, about 16 hours of use. Look, I absolutely love this laptop, but it's not perfect, right? Like, no laptop really is. I wish it had more ports, you know? I wish it was a little bit faster, and I wish I could crank that fan speed up so I wouldn't get those drop frames in some of the older titles of games I'm playing. But if you truly don't care about gaming and you want a super solid 2-in-1, this is hands down one of the better ones available on the market right now. Now, the thing is, it is quite expensive. Like, it starts at $1450, which is not cheap. So if you don't care about battery life, maybe you could find an HP Spectre X360 with a Meteor Lake processor on sale right now and save a few bucks. Either way, it's a great machine. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.